has a garden in their house, at your house? Yay. Who has a garden at their school or wherever you go to? What is... Yeah, we have a garden. My garden would be my favourite place in the whole world. It's a place where we play. It's a place where we go out and get our food. It's a place where I just go and sit to relax and I watch the birds and we see the butterflies coming and see which plants the bees love to come to. It's kind of a place to go and just connect with nature. It's beautiful. What the special thing about today's workshop to do with gardening is about looking at what sort of Asian greens in particular, but also like herbs and vegetables and fruits and all the different sorts of things that come from Asia, because this is part of the BrisAsia Festival. And so that's what this one's all about, particularly today. Now, who can tell me, first of all, where is Asia? Does anyone know where Asia is? Are we part of Asia? No, we're part of Australasia. But who can tell me, I've got a map, it's coming up soon, but who can tell me what are some of the countries that are in Asia? Hi, how are you? And just call out, you don't have to be shy. Is England in Asia? No. Is Africa in Asia? No. Is New Zealand in Asia? Is China in Asia? Yes, thank you. All right. What about India? Yeah. What else? What are all those other countries up above us there? Yes? Hong Kong. Well, it used to be kind of a province of England. Now it's actually back part of the whole of China as a separate area, isn't it? What other countries? Let's have a look. I think my next map is... Oh, hang on, I'll come back to that. This is Asia. It's massive. It's actually pretty much most of the global population live in Asia. So look, let's see what we've got. We've got Australia. This is the top of Australia here. So we've got New Guinea, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, all the way up through China, Mongolia, Japan, Korea. It's incredible, isn't it? It's huge, absolutely huge. So when we talk about what are the sorts of plants that come from Asia that we can grow here, you can imagine that it is just vast, a vast amount of plants. And what the interesting thing about growing plants here from Asia is that, you know, like all this wet tropical weather we're having at the moment, if you try and grow something from England, which is cold and not so rainy like this, are those plants going to be happy here? Not really, no. So we actually need to look to most of the plants that come from this part of the world if we're looking for food plants for here. So the other map that I've got here, I wanted to show you. This is a really interesting map. This is called what food... well, it's actually called Centres of Diversity, where food comes from. So I wanted to show you here what's some of the food that comes from Asia. So can you guess, without reading, what are some of the foods you think come from Asia? The main food that you might eat all the time? Rice? Strawberries. I actually don't know where strawberries came from. That's a really good one. We do grow it now. This map, though, is showing you where foods originally came from. So let's just run through a few. So right up in Central Asia, you've got wheat. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Wheat, onion, carrots, and then we've got, over in this part, soya beans, about oranges, apricots, peaches, all those sorts of things came from here. Then down in this south part of Southeast Asia, you've got rice, taro. Now this is taro, and I'm going to show you some pictures of it later too. This is growing in my garden, and this is a really important food for a lot of people in the world. Now, who's ever eaten taro before? Has anyone eaten taro? You can eat the leaves, and you can also eat, and can you see close up here, these little bits? These are going to get bigger and bigger, and you can chop them up kind of like a potato and cook them. So it's like a tropical potato. Absolutely amazing. So we've got some of those we can snap off and plant, and they're really good. We're going to do two things today. We're going to do some propagation, meaning taking cuttings from some of the plants I brought from my garden, and I also have some seeds. So these are the seeds, these ones, and I'll tell you a little bit more about those as well. So there's so many different sorts of plants. What are some other ones? We've got, we talked about rice. What about eggplant? Did you know eggplant came from Asia? Who likes eggplant? Who likes baba ganoush dip? Have you tried that? It's so amazing. Oh, what about chickpea? Who likes hummus? Do you like hummus? Yeah, well, so that's chickpea. That's actually one of the most ancient types of foods. G'day, how are you going? So there is so much of the world's food that actually originated from various parts of Asia. Now, I'm just going to show you quickly a few different pictures of some of the foods before we get into the gardening. But before I do, this is actually how most of the market's happening. It's not a supermarket. So people are going to go and buy their food. Traditionally, this is how they bought their food at markets. And I found out this fact the other day. I went to this talk at a university, and I found out that women like this grow more food in the whole entire world than big factory farms with tractors and stuff. Just think about that for a minute. Women growing food in small farms and gardens grow more food in the world than all the tractor farms everywhere. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. So this is where a lot of the food that people eat come from. And this is a floating market in Bangkok. I thought was absolutely amazing. Imagine going to that, going to get your shopping down the river street and shopping from a floating market, as opposed to, you know, like this is the modern sort of concept of a supermarket where everything's kind of packaged and processed. I mean, which food is healthier? What do you think? Yeah, I reckon too. I like the idea of harvesting your own food or going to a local farmer's market. Does anyone? Carrots, fresh food, raw food, that's right. Food that hasn't been processed and cooked and packaged and transported across the globe. That's right. It's absolutely, really so much better. So, I have this other question for you. What is a kitchen garden? What do you think a kitchen garden is? That's the topic of our talk today, kitchen gardening. When your mind, when I say kitchen garden, what does it look like to you? What's the picture you have in your head? Yeah. Yeah, so they're all edible plants that are around your kitchen. Nice. Yeah, so there's things that you can just harvest straight there. Now, a lot of our gardens that we grow around our houses in wealthier countries, there's not much food in them. So I love the idea of edible landscapes where you can walk out of your door and you're just surrounded by food. Now, would anyone call this a kitchen garden? No. Interesting, isn't it? Do you know that for most of the world's history, this is what kitchen gardens actually look like? And would you believe that this is part of my kitchen garden? Because up the top there, you've got bananas. Down the bottom, there's taros, there's nasturtiums, there's kales, all different sorts. There's lemons and mandarins, all sorts of foods in there that I can harvest every day to eat in my kitchen. And you know what? The thing about a kitchen garden like this, it doesn't matter whether it's super rainy or super dry, there's always something that's going to grow. It's a sustainable garden. Who knows what sustainable means? I know you guys do, because you guys are pretty clued in, I reckon. Yes, what do you think? It's environmental friendly, yeah. So everything that sort of comes from the earth goes back to the earth and you can continue. It doesn't require lots of energy to maintain it or chemicals. It's just all natural. So this is the kind of kitchen garden that these plants here got pulled out of the ground this morning to bring to you. And you know what? I pulled all this stuff out and you wouldn't even notice a difference because they're still growing. I just chopped off the abundance that's there. So just quickly before we get to the vegetables, I want to show you some of the fruits. Now, who's ever eaten any of these? Who knows what they are? Yes, which one have you eaten? The star fruit. They're so sweet and succulent. This star fruit, who knows what this middle one, I've written it down the bottom, you can read it if you like. This is rambutan. And I just love the spikiness. You crack it open, they're juicy, and you pop it in your mouth and a burst of sweetness. And there's a little seed inside that then you can plant, and you get another one. And this one here, who knows what this one is? It's a mangosteen. This would have to be my most favourite plant in the whole wide world, but I wish I lived in a tropical area that I could actually grow that. Even here in the subtropics, it's not hot enough. That is the most succulent, sweet, delicious fruit I've ever tasted. Now these ones, they're called water apples. You know this one in the middle. These are also Asian fruits. The oranges, the citrus all comes from that area. And these ones you can grow here in Queensland. What's that? Lychee. Do you like lychees? Have you had them? Yeah, really nice. Really sweet and yummy. And they look interesting. Look at the skin of all these fruits. So this is the durian. Who's had dragon fruit? Yeah, they're so nice and sweet. And who knows what a dragon fruit grows on? Do you know what plant it grows? What plant it grows on? Have you ever seen it? Is it a shrub? Is it a tree? What does it do? Is it underground? It grows on a cactus that kind of comes up, climbs up trees. It's kind of prickly, and so you've got to be careful how you harvest that. Now this one here, who knows what this is? It's a snake fruit. Amazing. It looks like a snake, and that's why it's called it. And it grows on a palm tree. So there's so many different sorts of foods. Now mulberries are something we grow a lot of here. Who's got a mulberry in their backyard? Yeah. Who's ever harvested mulberries straight from the tree and just yum? So delicious. Now who knew that you could use the leaves to make a tea? You could go and tell your parents, we've got it. You can just take the leaves and make it. If anyone likes green tea, mulberry leaves make that. So you didn't even have to go and buy tea bags. You can just harvest your mulberry leaves and make tea straight. Who's ever kept silkworms? Have you ever done that? Yeah. So they love mulberries, and then from that, then they get the cocoons, and then you can extract the silk from that. And that's what a lot of clothing traditionally was made of in various parts of Asia. So the first thing you need to do when you're getting a garden happening, what's going on in this picture here? What are worms good for? What do they do? Tell me, somebody. Yes.
They help the soil
Yep, they help improve the soil quality and the soil structure. I mean, they take food into the soil, because if you have healthy soil, then you have healthy plants. And if you have healthy plants, you get healthy food, and they don't get pest problems and all different sorts. So it's soil first. Do you know there's more life underneath where you walk than there is completely in all the forests above? There's so much more diversity of life under the ground. Incredible. And someone once told me that there's more, if you had a really healthy paddock and there's cows above, there's actually more weight of worms under the ground than there is weight of cows. And you know how big cows are. So much life. We kind of think of it as dirt. It's not. It's this thriving, alive thing. And so you can take all your scraps from your kitchen and your, the garden, and turn it into this beautiful, look at this. Can you all see this? Maybe you want to come up a bit closer. This used to be old sandwiches and fruit scraps and vegetable scraps, and now this is what they call black gold. This is food for the soil, which is food for your plants. And underneath here somewhere, well, here they are. Here are some of my helpers. This is some of my family of worms. Can you see those? Who's got a worm farm at home? Yeah. Who's ever had a worm farm at home before?
I have worms at home.
You have worms?
We dig them up as well.
Oh, well, did you know that there's like 2,000 different varieties of worms, and these particular ones which take food and turn it into compost are called compost worms. And there's three. Oh, thank you. I'm making a mess, aren't I? So these ones here are very particular. These ones are red wrigglers, and I can actually feel them wriggling in my hand. Would anyone like to hold them? They're very wriggly. Oh gosh. Well, hang on. What I figure actually. How about we do that in a minute up on the table, so we don't spread this all over. We'll do that in a minute. All right. We'll keep on going for a minute. Now this is why I wore my gardening apron today, so I could wipe my soil all over myself. Now, what do worms not like and not like? Yes.
Citrus and like onion.
Yeah, so they don't like anything that's too like acidic, because they breathe through their skin. Imagine that if you stack your arm out, breathing through your skin. I don't know, that's pretty weird, isn't it? It'd be like if you could breathe through your nose, and everything that you touched affected how you breathed and how you felt. So they don't like too much light, too much acid. So they're gonna all dive down now and hide away. Pretty soon you won't see them anymore. They'll be all gone back under.
I can see one going down.
Yeah, they'll do it. They're pretty amazing. So this is my travelling worm farm. I have lots of worm farms at home.
I can see lots of
Yeah. So I have worm farms like this one here. This is a tower that I stick into the ground, and the worms go down into the ground. This is Hugh. Hugh's outside. He's not here at the moment with his big bundle of worms. So there's so much that we need to do about improving our soil to make our gardens grow well, and worms are a part of it. Now, if you guys just sit back a little bit again, we might be able to keep going here. Now, who can recognise any of these sorts of...
cabbage.
different sorts of cabbages and mustards and all sorts of leafy greens. They're so easy to grow. So I have some seeds today. See this red one up the top, the purpley one? I've got some seeds of that you can grow. And that way, and they grow within a couple of weeks. Before you know it, you have your own salad growing, and all you need is a little pot to grow it. So we'll send you home with some of those. And there's so many, hundreds of different sorts of vegetables that grow in all sorts of Asian countries. This one here is tatsoi, and I love it because it looks like a big flower, big green flower in the ground. Who knows any of these sorts?
They're still cabbage.
Well, actually, these ones are the cabbage family, but this one's not. This is amaranth. Now behind you over there, these tiny little seeds, and they grow in these amazing, amazing flowers, big red flowers. They look gorgeous in the garden, and you can eat them all. But when the plants are young, you can eat it as a spinach. So this one we're going to plant, and I have some of these mustard spinaches that you can grow too. But see what's happening in this one over here? What's going on in this last picture? Yeah.
There's a bee.
Yeah, so these plants, they grow really fast, come up quickly, and then they flower all through your garden, and they attract the bees into it. And why do we need bees? Who knows that?
Like honey. So
They make honey, yes. What else?
And we eat it.
We eat the honey, and
And I eat polished bush dates, so that's why I eat it.
yeah, well, honey is really important in my household too. But what do they do for the environment? I'll get to you. Yes.
Keep the flowers alive.
Well, they do. They actually pollinate the flowers, don't they? And they help to
Make
To
babies.
Well, they do. They go back and they make little, the beehive where all the bee babies are fed by all the pollen that they collect. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that they cross-pollinate.
Yeah, they cross-pollinate the flowers. Now, do you think there'd be much food in the world if we didn't have bees? Pretty much every plant, most plants are flowering plants. And without some kind of pollinator, being a bee, what else is a pollinator? Worms are underground things that open up the soil, and they're decomposers. You've got pollinators that come to the flowers, and you've got decomposers that help to break down all the stuff that falls on the soil and turn it into food for plants. Anyway, there's lots of insects that are pollinators, lots of little tiny wasps and things that land as well and spread around. Native bees, the honey bees, all different sorts of things. So there's butterflies, thank you. Very nice. Now, the onion family is also something that's from Asia. So we've got lots of different... I've got garlic chives over here. There's big Welsh onions, garlic. Has anyone ever seen a garlic in their pantry or their cupboard that looks like this one that's sprouting? Yeah. Did you know that...
We put them, we want to, and they're sprouting when we are saving them.
Yeah.
We've got them on the top.
So when they sprout, you could actually eat that, or you could plant them in the ground and then get new garlics coming from that. So that's a really good way. So if you go to the shops and you buy some shallots, for example, that still have the roots on, do you know what you can do with that? You can plant the roots, eat the tops, plant the roots, and then you'll have your own shallots. So much stuff from the shops, actually, that you can plant and get new plants from, which is pretty awesome. That's totally right. You are right. Now, chickpeas. I told you about hummus before. These are chickpeas. This is what hummus is made from. Now, do you know what I find amazing about this? This particular... If you want to pass that around, you can have a look at them. These particular seeds, they're a type of pea, have been growing for 7,500 years. How old have you been alive? 7 years? More than 5 years. So way, way, way older than you are. Even before... When were the pyramids built? Who knows when the pyramids were built? Maya, help me out here. Who knows when the pyramids were built? A long time. I should know my history better. They're probably before the pyramids even. These are ancient, some of the first cultivated sort of plants that we have in the world. Now, this is what happens when you plant a seed, the seed absorbs all the moisture. And then the seed is actually the energy that the plant needs to grow. So once it gets some moisture and some light, it starts to sprout. And this is it sprouting. So you can plant some of these in your little pots, and you can then grow your own chickpeas, and you can use them in curries. You can make like veggie burgers out of them. You can add them to soups, and you can make hummus and all different sorts of things. It's such an important, it's a protein. It's a fabulous, fabulous plant. Now, what else have we got here? Mung beans. Who's ever eaten sprouts? Have you ever had sprouts? Sprouts are awesome living food. Now, these ones are really nice. These feel great, so I'm going to pass these around too. These are something nice about sticking your hand in a bowl of seeds. Mung beans grow like this. They're a kind of a bean, and you can eat both the leaf and the pod, and you can get red ones or green ones. The ones I've got here are green ones. So if you plant them and then you get your pods, you can have your own, you can grow your own mung bean sprout materials or things for curries and all sorts of things too. What's your favourite food? Tell me what your favourite food is. What do you like to eat? Carrots. Great. Strawberries. Mango. Mango is also from one of the Asian countries too, Southeast Asia. So buckwheat is another plant that we got today. Who's ever had buckwheat pancakes or buckwheat noodles or... No? Who likes pancakes? Yeah. These are some of the nicest sort of pancakes you have. And these ones here, these have been around since 6000 BC. So that means pretty much these are as old as the chickpeas as well, probably even older. And you can eat them raw, just like that. They're kind of crunchy and nice. Or you can cook them up and put them in, like cook them up as a porridge. Thank you. You can. I'll pass that one around. Yeah, sure. And these ones, look how many flowers grow on buckwheats. If you want to attract bees into your garden, grow buckwheat. And then if you want to grow your own porridge, for example, grow your own breakfast cereal, you can grow buckwheat. So that is also something that's really handy. Now, I love all the very unusual vegetables that grow. This is from my garden here. This is a bean. Has anyone ever had beans? You normally get beans that are this long. These beans can be arm's length beans. They're absolutely amazing. And I once went through this garden. It was actually in Hong Kong, and I was walking through this trellis, and this thing started dangling around my neck, and I was sure it was a snake, but it was a snake gourd. These things are massive. So you can eat them like a vegetable, but mostly I think people grow them to be absolutely curious thing, and you can dry them out and paint them and then hide them in your garden, and they help to scare away things, including some children, I suppose. Loofahs. Who's ever seen these things in the bathroom? Does anyone have those? You can use them to scrub your body, or have you ever seen those? You can actually they grow on a vine like this. So I have some seeds for this too, and I actually use them. I slice them up, and in my kitchen I use them for washing dishes instead of using plastic. Who's heard anything about how much plastic there is in the ocean or in the world? It's like plastic in everything. There's so much, every single piece of plastic that ever existed is still on the earth somewhere. So I try and find ways that I can actually reduce single-use plastic in particular. So using loofahs in the bathroom and cleaning your house, it's really great. And you can also eat them. So I have some seeds of that too. Now I put this one in because this one is such a beautiful plant. Has anyone ever seen the lotus flowers before? It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous flower. Every single part, I'll put that back down here. It feels nice, doesn't it? It feels so nice. Here, we'll put these back over here. So every single part of the lotus you can eat. You can eat the flowers, you can eat the seeds, you can eat the shoots, you can eat the leaves, and the roots down underneath in the lake look like this. Aren't they extraordinary? You can make lotus chips, you can make lotus curry, lotus soup, everything you can make out of lotus. It's just an amazingly abundant and beautiful plant. So, we're going to get planting now. Up on the tables, what I have for you, there's one of these each, and there's one of these each too. So, there's soil, and I'm going to invite you I'm going to leave the seeds up here. And we have mung beans, we have chickpeas, we have soya beans too. Okay, do you want to pop them back in? Thank you. You can come and get some in a minute. Soybeans. Who knows what you use soybeans for? Has anyone ever eaten a soybean? No. Have you ever had soy milk or tofu? Or
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that gets used for making that. There's also some spinach and amaranth and other loofah seeds up there. Now, in this, so that's for these ones. And I have some sticks on the table so you can label which ones. You can maybe put a different seed in each hole if you like. Now, what I want you to do, here, come up here to the table and I'll show you. Oopsie. Come up here to the table, just this one. Can you all see from where you are? Because what I want you to do is to hold it over the pot, over the bucket, and put it in until it's full, and sort of tap it. Okay. So just watching for the minute, just watching. So I want you to fill it up. Now, can you see how it's kind of full there? I want you to just put a little impression. Now this is where you're going to put the seeds, and you can put just 1 or 2 seeds of each of the seeds, because you put too many, they outcompete each other and don't grow very well. So that's how you need to set it up. And then I want you to just carefully go and pick 1 or 2 seeds for each one. And with the sticks, you just break them in half like this, and you can write your label. There's some pens there, and you write what you've got in each of the holes. I'll put some labels here so that you can know what you've got. So I've got amaranth, buckwheat, soybeans, chickpeas, and loofah. Yeah, we'll get those out. So fill up your soil first. Now, I just want everyone to pay attention now, because I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with the next thing. So you each have a big, tall pot. That's what I'm trying to say. You all have a tall pot. Now, I want you to fill that up with soil, but maybe I'm just halfway first, and then you're going to put a cutting in, and then you're going to fill it up the rest of the way. Now, I have a few different options that you can go for this, so you might want to pick different things. The first one is, this is lemongrass. Now, I've just chopped off the bottom section. So this is lemongrass here. Who's ever grown lemongrass before? Yeah. Oh, watch out. The reason I cut off the tops is because these can get a little bit sharp if you touch them, so just be careful. This bit's not, the sharp's bit off that. But this has great lemon flavour, and you can use this for all sorts of cooking. You can make lemongrass tea. I always add it into things like soup as well. Really, really nice. So I chop the tops off. I give it a haircut. Sometimes you need to give it a bit of a root cut as well, because it's too hard to put in a pot. So I've just taken a few roots off. Now that will be okay to stick in your pot. And very soon you're going to notice that you'll get leaves coming out of that. Now the other thing I use this for is making my own mulch, because I just keep chopping it off and using it to mulch fruit trees and all sorts of things. So you can use that for lots of things, food and in your garden. So that's lemongrass. Could you please hold that, Maya? So I have some prepared for you here. So if you want lemongrass, grab one of those, and you might need to give it a bit more of a root haircut as well. Now the next one along is Vietnamese mint. Now this is a type of mint, but it's a runner, meaning it sort of spreads a bit, so you might need to keep it in a bigger pot. And it has a sort of a spicy mint flavour. It's not like your dessert mint or your chocolate mint or your mint tea. It's something you use in a curry, sort of like an Asian curry. It's a really delicious, or an Asian soup. So this is Vietnamese mint, and also known as laksa leaf or Vietnamese coriander. So all you need to do is get a section like this, take off the bottom leaves, and I have scissors on your tables. So take off the bottom leaves, there we go, just like that. I'm ripping them off just because I don't have scissors here. So half, you put half in and leave the half out, and then that will grow. New leaves will come out of these points, what we call the nodes. Isn't that amazing? Where there was a leaf before, if you stick that in the ground, a root's going to come out of it. That's kind of amazing, really, isn't it? There was a leaf, and now there's going to be a root out of there. Plants are so adaptable. So that one is Vietnamese mint. This one here. So I've got the names here. If you want to write them on your sticks, I've got the spelling up here for you. Lemongrass, Vietnamese mint. Now the next one along is garlic chives. This one here gets really nice purple flowers on top. Let's see if I can find some. This is just a little bit. It has a big spray of purple flowers. And
You can eat them.
you can't eat them.
My sister loves them.
Oh, I do too. Yum. So, but the leaves are really good. So whether you're having an omelette, a salad, a soup, a pizza or whatever, and you need a garlicky flavour, or even if you want to make your own pesto, I really like to use this instead of garlic because it's there all the time. So I would give this a haircut like this. So I'll just do it over here. So you give it a haircut and a bit of a root haircut, and then hopefully that might be able to stick into your pot. Okay, so that's garlic chives. All of these plants, by the way, are really easy to look after and easy to manage and not delicate and fussy. So if you're a beginner gardener, it's absolutely great. Now this one here, the last one in the bucket, you can see all the flowers on it. When Maya was 4, she renamed this at our house the bee bush because it's always got bees. It's always attracting bees into the garden. And another name is tulsi, which is a type of plant that just about every household in India has because it's so useful for cooking but also as a medicine. So you typically don't plant something with the flowers on, so I'm going to snip off the flowers because that means it's thinking about growing flowers. We want to get it to grow new roots. And then we see how there's little baby plants coming off that. There we go, we just stick that into our soil and we'll get a new plant growing. And this one grows into a little bush and it'll attract bees and beneficial insects and little birds into your garden because what happens, it's like this shrub. And little birds, do you know what? Little birds eat insects. They're called insectivorous birds. Now, isn't that an amazing thing? Because what eats your vegetables? What comes in and eats vegetables? Rabbits, yes. Possums. Well, I won't do anything about that. Little slugs or insects or... They do, don't they? Particularly in Peter Rabbit, I know.
I know.
Caterpillars, yeah, all that kind of stuff. That's what I was thinking of more. Yes. So they won't eat possums or rabbits, but they will eat insects and slugs and caterpillars and little things that are eating the leaves of your vegetables. So you have lots of little birds in your garden. They'll do the pest management for you. You won't have to do any worrying about that. So having little shrubs like this help to bring the birds and also help to deal with your pest management. So this one is called, I thought it was a little rabbit under there. No. So that one's called sacred basil or tulsi. So I have 4 different things that you can pick from here. And there's a couple of these too, the taros. Now what we can do, if you want elephant ear, here, you want elephant ear? Right. Now, this one is different. It's not the standard elephant ear, which is kind of just a household plant. This is an edible one. Now, in markets, quite often you'll see that people sell just the stalks. This is a vegetable. This you can eat, the young ones, and when these get bigger, you can eat these as like a potato alternative. So all you need is one of these little bits, and can you see how it's got a little shoot coming from there? If you plant that in your pot, wait a minute, I'll get some ready for you. There's not many of those, so yeah, there is too. So the thing is, actually, if I wasn't bringing this in to show you today, I wouldn't have pulled the main plant out of the ground. I would have just taken off the edge and left the main plant growing so it makes more and more and more and more and more. And that's the beauty about these sorts of plants. You just keep taking off the excess and leaving the main bit in. It's easy gardening, totally easy gardening. So there's your options. Now what I want you to do first is to go and fill your pots with some soil and then come and make your selection of what you would like.
You just point. I love your passion.
Oh, great.
it's just infectious.
Oh, great. Well, it certainly is that, I guess.
So you obviously have websites.
Yeah. So I actually, our Permaculture Life I've got heaps and heaps of articles there about all the sorts of things, and it's also they're connected to the YouTube channel that I do, which has lots of sort of stuff like this, information about how to do it all.
Yeah.
And then the Good Life School, that's actually, I have some online courses, so if people want to kind of dive deeper.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
So you do other courses.
Yeah. So if you actually look on our Permaculture Life,
Yeah.
that has the links to all the different things that I do there. Yeah.
It smells so divine in here.
Oh no, it's lovely, isn't it? I make a bit of a mess though. Never mind. Yeah.
Taro, he's left it out. Is that
Yeah, no, that's fine.
that is
Yeah. So he's got all the roots and the other bit under. That's perfect. Yeah.